Good evening and welcome to this UNISON webinar for new members working in the social care sector. I'm really pleased you can make this event and I'm very excited to be speaking to you all here today. I hope this webinar provides you with a better picture of your union, what it's about, the campaigns members like yourselves have won recently in social care, how you can get involved yourself, and the recent launch of our latest national campaign in the social care sector. Just to introduce myself very quickly, my name is Amrik Nat and I am an organiser working in the Strategic Organising Unit based at UNISON Centre. I myself worked in a residential care home before starting in my UNISON journey, so it's a real privilege to be able to talk to you today about the power of UNISON and the union movement. A couple of bits of housekeeping before we get started. All mics have been switched off to ensure there's no accidental interference. However, cameras can be turned on and I would welcome you doing so, as it would be lovely to see you all. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to use the chat box and my colleague will do their best to answer these during the presentation. If we can't answer any questions during the presentation, we will follow up with an email shortly after the webinar. We have lots to cover and not a lot of time. We promoted this as a 30-minute webinar, so I plan to stick to that. So let's get started. So in this slide, we're going to cover the definition of a trade union. And I want you to keep this in the back of your mind whilst listening to this webinar. And I hope that this definition will frame this presentation and also give you a very general overview of UNISON's membership and within the social care sector itself. So, a trade union is a group of working people who have joined together to achieve better pay and working conditions and a safer working environment. So the emphasis here is that a union is not solely an insurance policy. UNISON is a democratic organization to engage with. There is a general misconception that the union is only in case you get into trouble at work. Now, don't get me wrong, there are structures in place in UNISON to support and represent members with issues at work, such as disciplinaries and sickness meetings, for example. But this is not the sole function of UNISON. The trade union is much more than that. And the power and therefore effectiveness of your union comes from the collective strength and organization of members. Ultimately, you are the union. And we'll come back to this a little bit later. I'll also very quickly cover the UNISON membership and within the social care sector itself. So UNISON is the largest trade union in the UK with over 1.3 million members. Our members predominantly work in public services and outsourced services. Within social care itself, we have over 180,000 members, making us the biggest and largest union in the social care sector too. So you made a good choice. So as a result of our large membership and active members, such as workplace reps, health and safety officers, equality reps, and learning officers, just to name a few, recent successes in the sector include UNISON fought off moves by the government to restrict second jobs and alternative employment for care sector staff. UNISON successfully campaigned for an infection control fund to deliver more sick pay during the pandemic. UNISON ran numerous mini local campaigns during the pandemic, forcing employers to provide the right PPE, pay sick pay, and ensure staff could go home at the end of their shifts. UNISON forced the government to provide sector-specific guidance on the use of PPE in social care. UNISON in North West successfully launched a living wage campaign for care workers in their region. UNISON got some employers to pay the national minimum wage for sleep-in shifts, including MENCAP. UNISON campaigned for additional money to be put in to boost pay, known as the Recruitment and Retention Fund. And on an annual basis, UNISON negotiates pay deals for social care staff, which boosts their pay and other conditions of work. Now, it's important to understand and emphasize that these successes were driven by UNISON members and activists. Without their involvement, these wins would not have been achieved. Hence why In an earlier example, I said only some employers paid the national minimum wage for sleeping shifts, because this was driven by members who were highly organized within their particular employers and had high density of membership or a high percentage of membership. Now, this next slide is to provide visual examples of members participating in social care events and campaigns. The first image shows a motion being put forward at our National Delegate Conference 2022, and I'll come back to conferences later, to campaign for a national care service. And this image shows a care worker member speaking in support of the motion. The second image shows General Secretary Christina McInerney and members at an event at Westminster exploring how better investment in social care can boost the economy and gender equality. The third image shows social care members on a picket line in Bristol. And the fourth image shows UNISON Northwest launch of a social care specific Know Your Right guide for members. Let's make care work. Campaigning for a national care service. So UNISON has repeatedly heard from its members that the social care system in England is broken. The current fragmented and privatised system doesn't work and is unfit to meet the needs of everyone who relies upon it, including the staff and UNISON members like you. But a better way is possible, and that's why members have launched a new national campaign for a national care service. And this is a brand new campaign which was launched just approximately a month ago. Now, before we talk a little bit more about this exciting campaign and how you all can play a part right now, I want to share a message for you from your General Secretary, Christina.
Welcome to UNISON. I'm Christina McInerney and I'm your General Secretary. And I wanted you to know that making social care better, working for social care members, is a personal priority for me and one that I am determined we will follow through in UNISON. No more broken promises from the government. We want a social care system that works, that focuses on the patients and service users who need them, and critically on the staff, you, who deliver those services. UNISON has just launched a campaign for a national care service, and we want this to be one that has the workforce at its heart. There's lots of ways for you to get involved in the campaign, but just go on our website, fill in the survey, because we really want to hear from you. I will make sure you get the help and support you need from your union, UNISON. Thank you.
The key demands being made in the National Care Service campaign are access to quality care for all those who need it, a service focused on providing world-class social care and not just profits, national pay terms and conditions for all care workers, long-term and adequate funding for a high-quality care service, and a pay boost for all care workers, ending the staffing crisis. So what can members do now to participate? Well, right now, you can sign the petition calling on the government to create a national care service in England. A previous action was to complete a short survey to help us run a campaign that truly represents your needs as care workers and gives you the opportunity to tell us how you'd like to get involved. From that survey, 90% of respondents said they would want to sign a petition. This petition link will shortly be added to the chat function in the webinar. You can also share your support via social media. Make sure you use the hashtag Let's Make Care Work. And finally, encourage your fellow colleagues to join UNISON. We will send a follow-up email rather, with lots of useful information, including a link to the petition and the campaign page. So you're a member of UNISON and you need support advice. This slide gives a quick overview of what to do. UNISON's organization is designed so that all members can be heard and involved. We try to make this as simple and democratic as possible. So every member belongs to a local branch, and when members join, they receive a membership card and details of their local branch. All of you should have received this by now, but sometimes this can take up to 4 weeks after signing up to receive the welcome pack in the post. It's important to note which branch you belong to, as well as their contact details. Most branches cover members working for a number of employers based in a particular geographical area and providing similar types of services. Your branch should always be the first point of contact. As well as branch officers, for example, the branch secretary and branch treasurer, branches will have a number of local and workplace reps, and it's beneficial to find out who they are and if you have any in your specific workplace or area. In a worst case scenario, you don't know the name of your branch. Not to worry, you can contact UNISON direct via the number on the slide, and they'll be able to help. UNISON also has its own charity, There For You, which provides welfare and financial support to members. Fuel and school uniform grants are 2 examples of this. There For You provided substantial support to members during the COVID pandemic. Members can also access free immigration advice via UNISON's partnership with the JCWI, which is the Joint Council for the Welfare of Immigrants. So this slide illustrates some of the structures in place to support and represent members with issues at work and outside of work. As mentioned earlier, a follow-up email will be sent with further information, including on how to access There For You and our free immigration helpline. So now that we've covered the definition of a trade union and how to access support and advice for individual issues, we can talk about opportunities to participate and get actively involved in your union, which is far more interesting. So thinking back to the trade union definition we covered earlier, the emphasis is on working people. Members are the union. UNISON is proud to be a member-led organization, and democracy is central to our structure. Within local branches, there will be members who hold democratically elected positions, as well as many members who help out informally. Official roles include officers and reps, for example, workplace reps, health and safety reps, and they work together to protect the interests of members. We also have learning officers and welfare officers, just to name a few. Members also help out informally, for example, passing on union information to fellow members, arranging meetings, and encouraging colleagues and new starters to join UNISON. Active members are vital, and UNISON will provide activists with all the training they need. And in most workplaces, you have the right to paid time off for this training, and creches are also usually available. UNISON reps receive support from the union, and there's also even a dedicated space called the organizing space, which has a bucket load of resources and support and advice available there from fellow reps and activists. Decision-making in UNISON is also member-led. There's a number of bodies which members can sit on, including Regional Council, the Service Group Executive, National Executive Council, and more. We also have several conferences, including our main National Delegate Conference. Delegates are elected to the NEC, where members can vote to decide policy and campaigning priorities of their union. I want to touch on proportionality now. Proportionality is defined within the UNISON rulebook as the representation of women and men in fair proportion to the relevant number of female and male members. And as women make up 2/3 of our membership, 2/3 of all elected bodies are reserved for women. Equality is at the heart of UNISON's beliefs. And we have self-organized groups, sometimes referred to as SOGs. And this is for groups who experience particular types of discrimination. And this is a space for them to organize around specific issues that affect them. We have self-organized groups for Black members, women members, and LGBT plus members. We also have equality groups for young and retired members also. We also have a newly launched migrant workers network, and this is an informal network for members with a first-generation immigrant background. Joining this network enables UNISON to target advice, support, and information more effectively. If you identify as a migrant worker, I would encourage you to join this network. A link to joining this network will be added to the chat box shortly. I appreciate this is a lot to take in and it can be confusing initially. I remember when I first joined UNISON and got active, I attended my first branch meeting and then my first self-organized group, which is the Black members group, and I felt like a fish out of water. But over time, I got to understand the structures and various titles of fellow active members. This took me quite some time, I must be honest, but luckily for you, we have a fantastic e-note module called You in Unison for members, which breaks down Unison structures and how you fit into them, and also explores Unison's democratic processes like conference. Again, we'll include details of how to access this e-note in a follow-up email to all attendees of this webinar. On the topic of learning education, member learning and activist training has always been another vital component of Unison's ethos to empower members. And this was recently brought into one umbrella called Unison College. Unison College was launched at National Delegate Conference 2022. And as part of its development, members were surveyed about what they would like to see. Unison's College brings together the learning, education, and training provided to members and activists. Unison has a long history of providing predominantly free learning opportunities for members and specific training programs for our activists. Unison College has allowed us to expand this to reach more members than ever before with a revised and increased range of courses. Members can also request a consultation with an expert advisor and find out what training and/or qualifications you may need to reach your personal career goals and how to get them. We briefly touched on activists. So there's a lot of training available for reps. Unison is proud to provide high quality training for its activists, ensuring they have the skills they need to support members and build their union. Unison College will help you grow in confidence as you progress in your union involvement. Unison College opportunities are delivered by Unison staff and by external providers in existing learning centres, regional offices, employers' facilities, and also online. Some are organised nationally and are open to members and activists across the union, and others are organised locally by regional education teams. Unison College is growing and developing all the time, so make sure you keep yourself updated. Again, we'll provide further detail on how to access Unison College courses in a follow-up email. Now, you must be thinking, how can you get involved, right? And this leads us nicely to the concept of trade union organising. So what is trade union organising? Trade union organising is about creating power in the workplace through collective strength and active members. Throughout this presentation, I've repeatedly pointed out how UNISON is a member-led organisation, and you might be getting tired of hearing this by now. But all joking aside, as a member-led organisation, it is vital you, the members, are 1, engaged and 2, involved, as it's an organised and engaged membership that builds a strong union capable of delivering for members. UNISON's strength is in our members working together. United and organised, we can achieve real change for working people. So what does an organised workplace or sector look like? Well, there'll be high levels of union membership and activity. There would also be workplace reps and contacts in all areas of the workplace, and members will participate in meetings and other union activity. So that's the challenge for you all, for you to get organised through UNISON in your workplace and the sector. Now, you don't have to commit a lot of time to be an expert to get involved. A little time and a lot of enthusiasm is all that's needed. So I encourage you to give it a go, and every UNISON member can play a part. In previous slides, we've also touched on various ways members can get involved, both formally and informally. However, again, it's a lot to cover in a short time, so I'm going to make an offer to you today. If you're interested in finding out more about how you can be involved and active in your union, fill out this mini survey that's going to be added to the chat box, just sharing your contact details, and we will arrange a follow-up conversation with you at a time that suits you. I'm now going to play you a short video of 2 UNISON members working in social care, like yourselves, sharing their experience as UNISON reps.
My name's Jill Williams and I work for a care company in Tameside.
My name's Leslie Hunter and I work for the same care company in Tameside.
Tell us a little bit about what
Before
you formed the union.
it
We was all in the union, weren't we?
there was a lot of people in the union, but they didn't really realise what the union was for
No.
until me and Leslie become stewards.
Yeah.
And why we become stewards was
We was fed up, we wanted change, and we was sick of sitting around moaning about what was going on within the care companies and not being able, having no power, not being able to do anything. I'm just feeling like basically you can be treated how an employer wants to treat you and have no say. So we needed a voice, and me and Jill started planning on how to do that and how to get that.
the more people that come into our union, the better we was to fight the injustices.
And in the 11th hour, when they was going to be forced to take recognition, they decided to give up and we won the recognition. First care company in all of the Northwest to get recognition. And then we started on the contracts. Work changed from week to week. It could be you've got loads or you've got none. And at the end of the month, because our hours weren't shown on the wage slips, a lot of the time care workers were losing how many hours they did over the month. They couldn't remember,
And they just leave.
and they got fed up with it all, and retention is shocking in care. But so we asked the management if they would put our actual hours, what we've worked, on the wage slips, and they said it could not be done. So me and Jill campaigned.
Yes.
Some opticians.
How did you campaign? Tell us a bit more about
Well, I put it down in writing. I typed it up and put that we think it's unfair. We like to have the right to see how many hours, so we can work out then if the wages are correct, because a lot of the time prior to this, wages were wrong.
The classic one was when we went up to one of the staff, we said, do you know how many hours you've done today? And they didn't know.
No.
Just in one shift, they did not know.
Yeah, of course.
And we said, you work that over how many days you work a week over a 4-week period, how much do you think you could be missing from that wage? And they were just so shocked that there was like, never even thought about having the hours on my wage slip and never even thought about it. And a simple thing like that was a massive thing to us, and we got it changed.
Taken a lot and a lot of hostility from management, but it's gone from people being union members to getting the recognition agreement to dealing with some of the issues, including getting correct pay slips, getting rid of 0-hour contracts, or getting people the ability to have a 0-hour contract, and also getting a real living wage. And that's all been done by having fantastic reps, but also building a strong union.
If we've learned one thing over the last 4 years, it is definitely you sitting there saying nothing, doing nothing will definitely get you nowhere.
And
you'll still be disrespected.
And we've also empowered other union members now to go into the office and ask for what their rights are, which that to me is the biggest thing. It's not what me and Leslie have done, it's what we've allowed our other union members to achieve on their own.
This is a fantastic video, which I find really inspiring, and I hope this has inspired you too, as well as demonstrating the importance of being actively involved in your union. As Jill and Leslie say, you can't just sit there doing nothing, right? Be the change you want to see. Before I sign off, I want to encourage you to take the first steps of being more active in your union, UNISON. And it's something you can all do. Go back to your workplaces, speak to your colleagues, and encourage them to join UNISON. Because remember, the more members we have standing together, the stronger we are. You're going to soon see a link appear in the chat box, which is a link to Easy Joiner, which allows you to track when your colleagues, friends, or family have joined UNISON. So you can keep a tab on how many people you have got to join UNISON. UNISON, remember, UNISON is run by its members for its members. So get involved to make the positive change you want to see. I hope you found this webinar engaging and insightful, and I shall look forward to speaking to many more of you soon as a result of you sharing your details to have a further chat about getting involved in your union. It's been a pleasure talking to you all today. Have a fantastic evening. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care. Goodbye.